Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Those of you who are in the back, you're welcome to come closer and be part of this conversation. My name is Brian Schaefer. I'm one of the scholars in residence here at Jacob's Pillow, and it's such an honor to facilitate this Q&A with our artists here this week. And I'll start with a few questions. We'll talk about the company, we'll talk about the works that we just seen, and then I'll open it up to your questions as well. So please think of anything that you want to know about what we just saw and about the company in general. And let's start with some introduction. So of course we have to my right the artistic director now of Ballet Genève and the choreographer, Sidi Larbi Cherkaoui. Thanks so much. And Diana Diaz Duarte, to his right, who performed Fawn for us today. And then to her right, Armando Gonzalez. So it's a pleasure to have the company back after so many years, and of course it was supposed to be in 2020, and that didn't happen because of COVID. But now you come to us under new leadership, and also having been our 2022 Jacob's Pillow Award winner. So congratulations on that, and it's a pleasure to have you here with that title. And so can you tell us a little bit about what it means to come at this pivotal time in the company's history? It's been 2 years now that you've been at the helm, but I'm curious what it's like when a company changes directors, what that means for the dancers and for you taking over the company. So Larbi, if you want to start us off, and then Diana and Armando, I'd love to hear what it's like for you, how long you've been with the company, and what that transition has been for you.
Sure. So yeah, the first time I actually worked with the company was in 2005. Way back. It was the second year of Philippe Cohen's tenure as company director, and he asked me to come and work with the company as a choreographer, and it was the first time that I was actually working with a repertory company, with a company that actually really does repertory of different choreographers. So that was really the beginning of my career working with rep companies. And I had a blast. Like we made Loin, which came here in 2007. And so I have only these amazing memories of Geneva and of the stories of working back then with the dancers that were there at that time, that have all kind of like I'm taking pictures and sending them pictures, because when they used to be here, it was such a special moment for them. And so in some ways, there was a beginning for me that was already... There was already a link with the company, and then we jump so many years later, 2015, when I was invited to be the director of another company in Belgium, and Philippe had called me and had said, "I'd love you to come back 10 years after to create something for us," and I couldn't do it, and I was really, really sad, because I felt like, oh, I wish I could say yes, but there's too many things on my shoulders right now, and then. In 2020, when we were planning to come here, it was actually with Fall, something I had created on another company that they were dancing. So again, I was gonna be here through, in this marriage actually with this company. So when Philippe was retiring and saying like, oh, I think it would be interesting for the company to have a choreographer rather than an artistic director become the artistic director. I was very, very, I felt very honored. I felt a lot of responsibility. I also was thinking like, how would I do, because I had seen him 19 years doing an incredible job and having these amazing artists, and just feeling like, okay, I think I can go with this and then give it my own spin. So that's kind of how I approached it, like very much from a place of a lot of history with it, and at the same time, a fresh perspective for today. Yeah.
Thank you. I want to talk more about the spin that you want to put on it, but I want to hear from Diana and Armando. How long have you been with the company, and when you were, and if you can share with us what it was like under Philippe Cohen. He, as you mentioned, directed the company for 19 years, and so what was the identity of the company when he was running it?
I think actually Armando, he's been here the longest, so he knows Philippe the best, so I think he can answer this question better.
I was here in 2011, which happened to be the end of my first season with the company. And now, 13 years later, is the end of my last season, and I get to bookend it here, and it's quite a beautiful place to call it a career. One of the beautiful things with Philippe, one among many, was that he liked diversity in dancers, in histories, and the choreographers. That was beautiful, that was challenging. Quite different than what we have now. Even though we have guests, we have very much your way, which is very demanding. But I do have to say that he has brought some incredible dancers to the company that has only raised the level of the company. And not only is it beautiful to see as you get to witness it every day, but it helps. You learn by osmosis in this game. It's, you learn by consciously trying stuff, but sometimes just by being surrounded by things that amaze you. And that has been great. So personally for me, being 41 years old, having the change at the end of my career was a wonderful, fresh air challenge, being inspired. And I've really enjoyed it, and wow, I couldn't be happier with the bringing everything full circle.
For me, this is my 7th season here. It's also going to be my last year with the GTG. I'm very much looking forward to what comes after, but these 2 years that I got to spend here with this new direction were so special. I got to do wonderful, wonderful things, and it was definitely a challenge. And also, whenever there's a change in direction, there's a lot of dancers that leave, so there's a lot of dancers that come in, and you're never really sure how the group is going to come together, because whether we like it or not, we become a family. We spend more time with these people than we do with our parents, so it's a lot, and all these people are so wonderful and so fantastic, and like he'd said, so talented that you just grow more and more every day, and you learn so many new things every day, and the challenge is welcome, and I can't wait for the next.
Thank you. So as you mentioned, you previously led the Royal Ballet of Flanders for 7 years. And so what was that like was that your first time directing a company, other than your own, but like an established company?
Yes, exactly.
And what was that experience?
A big learning curve, because it was such a, institutions, they work with certain regulations, they work from a very specific order of things, which is, as an artist, sometimes we are kind of like anarchist, like we love to kind of shake things up, and dancers too. We like to kind of like keep it alive and make choices that are maybe not the 9-to-5 choices. But then you are in a structure that is rehearsing from 9 to 5 or 6, and so we have these experiences. And for me also, it was like learning how, for 7 years, kind of learning how to handle that different clock and try to project further. So what I've learned is really to be able to imagine things in the future. So even I'm sitting here, and a part of my mind is doing the program in 2 years. Like I'm prepping, I'm setting up things, I'm meeting people, and so that's really been the learning curve for me. It was sometimes in Antwerp, I had to set myself as an artist a bit on the side. And when I came in Geneva, I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to come in with as much of me as an artist as well as possible. Not because I think I deserve all that space, but just because I think I owe it also to the people around me to be fully present. So I'm really trying to be as much as possible, even though there's so much going on and so much extra management. And I have to, also say that these 2 years, I have not let them alone. I had Florent Mollet, who's my, executive director, and he's incredible, and he's been helping me with all the budgets and all the plannings and all the things that you can't do this on your own. And I think that's also something to be said, is that no man is an island. You're constantly surrounded with a lot of people who help out, who challenge you also in the right moments, and then together you find a way to make things happen. Like even this show was a bit of a miracle, because maybe I talk about this. Okay.
also, this company, Ballet Genève, is a much more intimate company than Ballet Flanders. I think it's Ballet Flanders was twice as large, and you've also talked about how it's a little more rigid in its ways. So I'm curious, kind of coming into this company, and you talking about putting your spin on it and showing up as an artist and keeping that part of yourself so present. What does that look like, and how do you approach the company that way?
Well, I think it's also like finding ways to bring in artists, whether it's musicians or whether it is other performers that come with different backgrounds, so with different ways of moving and thinking and doing things, which I think we can all benefit from, me included. As a choreographer, I feel really blessed with people coming from different places, and just when I ask or propose something, they do it with that spin that they have. And I love that. I love the fact of being pulled away from myself, and I love pulling people towards myself. So it's that yo-yo that's going on that I try to bring into an institution by sometimes bringing in some guests that, just think differently, and then hopefully it's also humanly enjoyable, because I agree, it's so important that that you feel safe, that you feel with each other comfortable, and dancers, it's really, they need to find a way to be there for one another, to find solidarity with each other. And I am always telling them how impressed I am by how they know how to come together, even though they're so different, with different needs, but then they come together when there's something, when there's a clear situation or a clear kind of directive.
And so Diana and Armando, can you talk a little bit about what the last 2 years have looked like for you and how it's changed and challenged you? You mentioned it as a breath of fresh air, and also, how demanding he is, and how challenging the choreography is. So all those things together, what does that look like, and how do you come together as a new company to maintain your standards and also go in a new direction?
In comparison to before, for example, we used to do like a lot of this repertory ballets, and we used to repeat them through the years. And now in the last 2 years, I feel like I've done more ballets than in the last 5. Like, a lot of things have happened, and they've been so different from each other. So it really pushes you to think and to move and to feel in different ways, to find that intention and that necessity in the movement to go forward and to keep challenging yourself and discovering new things. And that's all you want in your job, I find, is to find what makes you go forward and what makes you grow. So it has really been a gigantic learning process in these last 2 years. It's such a short period of time, but so much has happened.
I will certainly echo that, and just add that there are levels to this game, to any game. And you don't realize it till you see it, and then it opens up a whole world of possibilities. And that's exciting. That's exciting because you're like, well, I've been doing this for a long time, and I never thought to do it like that, and it seems so natural. Or you're like, this takes me so much effort, and my buddy here is just flowing through it. Let me try to figure that out. And that's the excitement thing. That's not the exciting thing, but that's one of the exciting things about dancing, which is always the personal selfish pleasure of doing it, and trying to do it in a different way so you don't bore yourself. And hopefully it looks a little bit better. But it's like Diana said, it has been a lot of different rep. I mean, you guys have no idea. We've done some things. We've been on a ramp like this, 34 degrees dancing. Imagine that. When I saw that, I was like, just standing up there, you were afraid, and we had to do a 40-minute ballet with that. So it has been incredible, and it has been worth it, because when you work a lot, you want it to be worth it. You want to feel that sense of I'm sweating like crazy, but it was, that's what we're here for, and it has certainly been that. And I just wish I was not 41. But I'm done.
So our program today was supposed to be entirely your work, and it was supposed to be, we were going to start with Fawn, and then we were going to have an hour-long noetique and the full length. And we had the the challenge of the shipping and lost the costumes and the sets and all that. So just take us behind the scenes. What did that look like from your perspective? When did you all find this out? I mean, it's quite a fascinating drama. So, so when you learn that, when you get that kind of information and you realize you're going to have to make the adjustment that you had to make, what happens? How do you make those decisions? How do you as a company change direction so quickly? Tell us all about it.
I mean, like we said, we did this strong 3 months ago. And just for everyone to know, we were texting each other in passport control what the day was going to be like and what we were going to do and what we were going to wear. That was the level of like, we have to be ready. When we get there, we have to be ready to do this and this and this and this and this. So this show was kind of in the back of the mind, in the pocket, is still fresh, but it's really hard to do it. Like, it requires a lot of energy, a lot of mental strength to push through it. And to do the 3 like this, it's a lot as well. Larbi did a fantastic job at putting together Noetic like this little short piece so that you guys can still see. And I mean, I think the evening still looks quite wonderful like this, and I hope everyone enjoyed it. We tried really, really hard to give you the best show possible. So yeah, definitely a challenge, but it's nice to bring this piece back together. I really like it.
Well, for me, it meant early retirement because I don't do strong. So then I just do 15 minutes of Noetic and I'm done for the day. But we have a company WhatsApp group, and I do remember seeing 30 messages and being like, whoa, what happened? And then you start like going back and you're like, uh-oh. But guess what? We manage, and that's usually what happens. We manage, and you guys, I think you enjoy the show, and that's always nice.
Now, I wasn't privy to all of this, but from my interactions with you this week, you have been remarkably calm through all of this, which seems to be how you approach everything. And but I'm curious, kind of, how did you make the decision to add strong, and then also the process of so quickly reworking one of your dances? What was that like for you artistically to kind of find a new, a reimagined work within that?
Well, Manuel Renard, who's our rehearsal director, he called me and he's like, okay, so this is what's going on, so what do we do? And I'm like, what do we do? Like, I got very panicky. I was like, this is impossible. We need this set. And so he was one of the people who was like, maybe we could do this. So it's been really a group effort of everyone kind of chipping in of maybe we do this, maybe we do that, maybe this is how we're going to do. We still had 2 days to kind of get the costumes of Strong. So they were all calling each other like, oh, we can open the doors of to get the costumes at least of Strong, we'll carry them ourselves. So the dancers did all that. So there was really like a sort of incredible sense of solidarity, because it's the end of the season, everybody was very tired, me included. And so we were really like, oh my God, and now all these challenging things. And then, so in the beginning, I was, as an artist, I'm very sad because I wish you could see the work with all its elements, and it would have been really fascinating here. And then at the same time, I'm also humbled because I'm like, okay, so this is what is happening. There's nothing I can do about this. So then you have to become the yogi who's just like, okay, so what what can we do? What are we capable of doing? So we went, with Rafi, we went shopping in New York to get some clothes because we had no clothes. and so we did all these little things of trying to just talking with the technical director, Rudy, about readapting the lights, and so he did an incredible job of making a light design in a day. And so there was a lot of, every single department did incredible, and the dancers especially, because there was moments where we were thinking like, oh, Strong is a kind of work you want to do after something quite. So I don't know how Diana does it there, because she's really going in all 3 works. And so it's quite impressive to see them suddenly go like, okay, this is clear, and then just be in the moment, be in the moment, be in the moment, instead of anxiously thinking, oh, I'm not going to be able to go there. You're like, you don't need to go there, you need to be here, you need to be here, you need to be here. And then, and that's kind of like the philosophy also, we try to share that with each other, this idea of being present, and just seeing what you can do now, and then plan a little bit of what tomorrow we could fix this and fix that. So every day you've seen now I think it's the second show, and so the third show. So we really every day kind of like keep tweaking a couple of things, and yeah. And I'm actually also very happy that you got to see Strong, because Sharon is very special, and it was quite exciting to suddenly be on tour with Strong. we were not planning this at all, so it was suddenly like, oh yeah, okay, so that makes sense, and then also do Fawn with the opening in the back, because normally there's a big that's this space, yeah. And this was also something that came from the technical crew. They were like, oh, maybe we can do this. And then you have a forest in the back, and I was like, so somehow, the universe provides, so eventually things happen, and I'm still keeping, like tomorrow they have 2 shows, and then Sunday, so every day is like, okay, let's keep the energy flowing forward, and let's not, in French we say, ne pas brusquer les choses, do not get anything, we cannot have highs or lows, we have to stay kind of like centered.
Well, it's really extraordinary what you've created and how you adapted it, and to all of you for still putting on such a flawless show. It's incredibly impressive. And to echo your question to Diana, how do you do it? How do you get through the 3 pieces? How do you move kind of mentally from one to the other and physically prepare for the various styles and the various moods? And how do you have the endurance?
Lots of chocolate, honestly. Lots of water, lots of Gatorade. No, honestly, it helps that I've done all 3. Nothing is that new. So I know what to expect. And now I know the moments when I get tired, because that's always something that you can't anticipate when you do a run for the first time and you get tired. You're like, whoa, okay, now I know this is the moment I have to pay attention to. Now it varies because it's just so heavy, the load, but every piece has such a different universe. It restarts. I don't feel like it's a full length like evening. Like every bit restarts. So almost when Fawn starts, I'm not tired anymore, because now it's this universe, is this story, is this person. And then I move over, Strong, something else, the same thing. So you just, lots of sleep, baths, and the rest just happens. The rest is magic, it's the work.
And now this is a question that I actually got from many audience members over the last few performances. I mean, people came up to me and multiple people asked, how do you dance on Releve for that entire... I mean, and this is like a staple of Sharon Ayal. She does all of her works on Releve, but I've never seen it for this long. All the bourrées, like everything, it's wild. And the work has been in the company for only a few months now. So how do you gain that strength? How do you adapt to that? What does that feel like? And how do you stretch afterwards?
Well, I mean, to add on, like Clyde Archer, who's like an incredible dancer, performer for Sharon, came and worked with the company, and he was so clear in what he wanted because he embodies it so well. So I think it helped to have somebody that really shows exactly what it needs to look like. So you don't have to try and find it, it's right in front of you, and you just have to try and find that inside of yourself. And then Sharon also passed by, and she was also giving her, her introverted kind of approach to what's going on. So sometimes and you guys can say it better than me, but I think there's something about when the focus is clearly on certain intentions or certain counts that are, you don't have time to think of your calves, because you're thinking of, now I have to think head and go to turn around. So you're so focused on other elements that I think by the time you realize your calves are on fire, you're basically thinking of everything else, because everything else is so intense, because they're really like an army completely placed with every single thing. And I think it's very impressive to see Sharon's work, because it feels like one long work, all of them together.
Yeah, I think of them as chapters, that she's always kind of on this exploration of her obsessions, and they all kind of have a different facet, and it's fascinating to see. Armando, do you wish you were in it, or are you kind of glad to?
I also want to know how they do it. I'm a professional dancer, and I'm suffering looking at them, and I'm like, thank God I'm not in it.
One thing that helps, though, to forget about the pain is that Clyde and Sharon, they give very specific images. So it's not about a certain shape or how the foot has to be on half point. It's not about that. It's that you're so far pulled up and you have the feeling of your skin ripping through your bones, and that's what's keeping you up, not necessarily the feet or at the, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm not so good at this. Also, there's sometimes when you move your arms, they give these images of black water falling through your arms or inhaling gasoline. So it's something that is really visual and really comes from the inside. So you don't really think about what the body is doing or the shape that it's creating, is the feeling that it's bringing into your body. And that really pushes you through the whole 45 minutes.
I wanted to open it up to some of your questions now, so anyone who has any questions, and then after you ask it, I'll repeat it on the mic so everyone can hear. What language was the singer?
It was in
Duarte?
Latin.
In Latin?
Yeah, and it's like a carpe diem, like how to seize the day, yeah.
So the question is about the hand movements, the hand choreography of Strong, and clutching the throat is something that Sharon does in a lot of her dances, and also very kind of heart focused. And so how did she explain it, and how did she bring that to the company?
I think in itself it's about this feeling of containment, of that you have something inside that is boiling and the water wants to come out, but you always keep it contained inside of yourself, this energy, this light. So everything that happens inside. It never really explodes, it never expands. So it's almost like this feeling of trying to hold something back inside of yourself that you want to show, but you can't, or something is not letting you. So you always have these challenges inside of your body that you want to keep pushing through these boundaries, but they're very strict. And that's what makes the movement so thick and so interesting and so sharp.
So 2 questions. The first is about the timing, the counts, the precision of Strong, which is so precise and so unexpected. It's amazing that you're all so synchronized. And then 2, how you continue to maintain your bodies, and how is that different now than maybe it was several years ago?
Well, for Strong, we learned to count it. We have counts that we've memorized and that we keep counting in our heads, and we help each other out every now and then, counting. So that's always 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the time in the back of our head. And also for Armando, the way we prepare our bodies, it definitely changes with the needs of each production and every day, because not every day feels the same way. And definitely we have a wonderful team of masseuse and physiotherapy back in Geneva that take such good care of us, that we use their services all the time because they really keep us together. And here as well, now they have also a team of physiotherapists at Jacob's Pillow that we use. And definitely the needs of the day is something that we're very in tune of our bodies, so we always know what we're gonna need that day, more or less, and it's about listening to yourself and just knowing what you need in that moment.
Lots of stretching and accepting that some things are not what they used to be and working around it. And also accepting that you don't have to listen to it all the time. Sometimes you got to push through it. So finding that balance between sometimes you know it's going to suck in the beginning, and then your body. For me, the worst is not warming up. It's getting cold and then warming up again. So that's where I feel the biggest difference. So then I try not to get cold.
I also think one thing that I want to add is also in that there's so much knowledge now about the body and the fascia and all the elements within our bodies that can help us prevent injury, but also deal with injury. So there's a lot more information now than ever before. And at the same time, and this I say as an artistic director, sometimes younger performers, because they have so much energy, they have so much willpower, they forget that there is a process. Your body has a slow learning curve, so you need to give yourself the time to practice certain things that might not work right away. People want an app for that, You want to just go like, now I want to do tour fouetté, I want to be able to clack and do this. But sometimes even if you have the example in front of you, even if all of these things exist, you still need time, and it's never fully acquired. It passes through you. So you can do this, and then suddenly you can't anymore, and then you have to work again to be able to. So you have to become a medium, or a sort of, you have to let it pass through you, and you have to accept that some days it's there, and then some other days it's not there. So it's also learning how to handle the days, it's the hardest for people who are not used to fail. Because they're like, I did that mistake. And like, it's okay. Like, it's really okay that it's very normal that you might have missed that one count, but it's how you handle the mistake and bluff your way through it that also makes it look like you didn't even notice. So it's really finding ways to understand that eventually it's about being in the present, being in the moment, understanding that sometimes you do make mistakes. Forgive yourself immediately, because it's not it's not a competition. It's not like, oh, I saw that you didn't do that. It might have happened, and I think it's about forgiving yourself, and so because then something new happens. I don't know how you feel. Like something doesn't work, and then suddenly the dancer. The next 3 steps are incredible. Incredible because you just realize, I have to be in the moment for this because I messed this little moment up. And then suddenly magic comes. And then I'm like, thank God there was this mistake. Because the mistake made you be incredible afterwards. So it's always like, welcome the unwelcome, as we say. Don't be afraid of it going off. And what's amazing with Sharon is it can go off so quickly. I mean, it's really a very, very challenging work. Sometimes you also count in the group. I think because of the question of like there are moments that they are actually counting inside, so that they are speaking it out loud. We don't hear it, but they know now we're here. And then again, you have a whole sequence. You know where you're at.
I want to ask one final question, kind of looking ahead. So obviously this wasn't the program that we anticipated, but it then allowed you to introduce us to new work and to bring the company here as a repertory company and to curate a program that involves other artists. And you spoke a little bit about your vision for the company. So I'd love to hear more about what is in store and who you would like to work with, or the direction that you would like to take with the company. And then after that, I'd love to hear from Diana and Armando, what's next for you and how are you feeling at this moment?
So for the company, what we've been working on in the last 2 years is also working with another artist, Damien Jallet, who is a good friend of mine and somebody I've worked with a lot in the past. And he has a very singular kind of sculptural approach to the body, very also visceral, very intense. So I love choreographers that really come with a very personal, I mean, of course, it's almost like a cliche, but a personal language, but also a personal vision on movement. So that's what's challenging, is sometimes they will describe movement in a very different way than I would. You know, recently we worked with Rachid Hamdan, again, a whole other world, who is using forms of acrobatics. And so suddenly the skill sets of the dancers just, it flips, and so many other elements are taught and practiced. And I love artists who are, willing to still learn new skills, because there's many types of artists, and there's people who just let me do what I'm good at. And I also like people who are like, well, I've never done that, so maybe you're so good at things in general that you can organize yourself to get good at this and then get good at that. And I try in the company to really bring in things that also form a healthy challenge. Which sometimes is very welcomed, and sometimes like, oh my God, I don't see myself being capable of doing this or that. Like, no, I see you do that, but it's easier for me to say from the outside. So it's like finding a way to believe in your potential to become something concrete, and give yourself time for that, because we do have 8 weeks of creation, or we have specific times. Switzerland, in that sense, is different than the US. In the US, people really work very hard, very short. Sometimes I have worked in the US before, and it was always very intense. And I felt like a slow cook, and then having to go into quickly making things happen for the dancers around me. And I was like, how they do this? In Switzerland, we have a bit more time, so we take the time, and sometimes even I work on a piece, and maybe months later, I take it back and I tweak on it, and I'm like, I wasn't finished. I felt this and that should be different, and they just join me in the process.
So after this, your final season with the company and Armando retirement, it sounds like. How does it feel right now, and how does it feel to look back and also look ahead?
I'm very grateful for everything I've experienced here. I was 19 when I joined, so it was a little while ago. It was very nice to grow up here with these people around me and to finish this way. Like, I'm so grateful for the Fawn program, like really touches my heart. I really, really enjoy performing it and telling that story. So I finish on a definite high note. There's no doubt about that. And actually, I have plans with my husband to move to the US to be closer to his family and to also be involved in dance. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to that, something new and new people, new everything. So I really look forward to that.
I enjoy the heck out of this career. I always felt very conscious that for me, I had to enjoy it, that dancing was something, if you don't enjoy it, why are you doing it? And I'm happy that all the way through, I always enjoyed it. What am I looking forward to? Spending time with my children. I have 2 small kids, being a dad, being a husband. And moving on, I'm only 41, so I have half of my life ahead of me. But I'm very satisfied with having had the chance to dance for so long and enjoyed it all the way through.
Wonderful, thank you. Thank you all so much for joining us today.
I just wanted to add that I'm gonna miss these two very, very much. So, because really they were like rocks in these 2 years. They've been so stable, so incredible, so professional. So it was so nice to have people of a generation also who is capable of seeing the stories of longer, you know? So they were both of them so, you know, yeah, discreet and at the same time constantly present and capable of handling these new shifts. So I also want to thank them for this because they made it so easy for me.